What's up, it's your boy Super Mario 1990 coming at you with a Jurassic World Rebirth review. Spoiler free, by the way. Just gonna get off by saying it's okay. It's okay, it's decent. It's not really good, but at the same time, I didn't think it was bad. I will say though, it does suffer from an identity crisis because, to be honest, it felt like I was watching a clone of a creature feature. You know how they used to call them back in the day, like creature features, movies like Anaconda or something like that, like mutant kind of creatures. And you basically got a cast of characters that are trying to survive the ordeal. That's basically what Rebirth was, right? And I mean, in a sense, that's what like Jurassic Park movies usually are, but they just did it in such an iconic way. And weirdly enough, even though this is from the same universe, it felt more like I was watching a mediocre attempt at Kong Skull Island. To be honest with you, like the whole premise and plot of the movie, it felt like Kong Skull Island, but with dinosaurs. It felt like Anaconda, the first one with J-Lo and Ice Cube and them. It felt like that, but with dinosaurs. Which is really weird because if it's Jurassic, I should be thinking of Jurassic Park. I shouldn't be thinking of other movies within that genre, right? I should only be thinking of Jurassic Park because it's the same universe. And the crazy thing is, it's the same universe when it starts out, because basically this movie is basically after the fallout of Dominion. That's basically what it is. And they give you text to read in the beginning. Basically, they set it up by saying that, it was climate change and people are getting sick. And basically, it's to the point where people don't really care about the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs are still there. They're still a thing. People just lost interest, right? And you do actually kind of feel it when you're watching a movie because there's no legacy characters. There's no OGs, right? There's no references to the older movies. You would almost forget that you're watching a movie within that universe. The only thing that would remind you you're in the Jurassic Park universe is the actual dinosaurs when they do pop up. So it's just really weird. There was only one reference that I caught. It was just very subtle. You could easily miss it. It was just like a casual conversation where they mentioned a legacy character. The name just popped up and that was it. There was like really no big reference, no link. It didn't really mean anything. And if you were snacking on popcorn or eating some nachos, you could have easily missed the name drop. It was just a name drop, just to remind you that this is a Jurassic Park movie and these characters do exist in this world. But other than that, you just felt like you're watching its own thing. Like if it was a video game, it would be DLC, right? Like a DLC content from a character that you've never met or ran into, and they just have their own story. It's the same universe, but it's its own thing. That's what Rebirth feels like, which I kind of felt like that was the point. But at the same time, if I'm watching it, I should still be reminded this is Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, right? It felt like Kong Skull Island. I just couldn't help but think like, bro, this is like Kong Skull Island. They just put dinosaurs in it though. Like a Jurassic Park movie or Jurassic World movie shouldn't feel that way. You know what I mean? And it wasn't bad. It just didn't give you that feel. I will say though, outside of the cast, like the core characters that you're supposed to follow, there was this family in the movie. And it was like a dad and his two daughters, and he got the older daughter. She about to go to college. She thinks she grown. She gonna bring her boyfriend on the trip, right? And so they're on the coast. They're away from the island with the dinosaurs, but they almost end up getting attacked. And they basically survive by the skin of their teeth. The unit that we're supposed to follow, they ended up rescuing them. And when they get on the island, they kind of get separated. And that's just an innocent family, a dad with his two daughters and her oldest daughter's boyfriend. And so they did a good job of, basically they held the movie together because every moment and every scene with them did remind you of the old Jurassic Park feel, that kind of like horror feel where when you do have the characters that you do like and you follow and the dinosaur creeps up or is about to attack you, like, ooh, I hope they make it out alive. And they basic instincts kick in, their survival, fight or flight kicks in. They actually made for the best moments and the best scenes when they featured that family. And they ended up getting split from the mercenary group that can handle themselves with weapons. That was actually a good choice because it's just an innocent, unassuming family. They don't use weapons, they don't know how to handle themselves. They were really just leaning on each other for survival. So it really did give you that old school Jurassic Park will they make it or not kind of feel. So it just made all those moments even more tense. More so than with the unit that we follow. They use guns. They know how to handle themselves. Dinosaurs are, for them, was new uncharted territory. But, you know, they were brave, they were bold. You know, they like, we'll figure it out. And they had a dinosaur specialist. So they're like, yo, if we come across something, you can tell us who it is, and then we can know how to attack it or how to defend ourselves or whatever, right? So when you had, it sounded cool, but it was like, they can handle themselves, they can fend for themselves. So it didn't really, the moments when they were like attacked by dinosaurs or they came across and encountered dinosaurs, it wasn't really all that tense. So it kind of took away from, it just took away from like the kind of like horror element that you're used to in Jurassic Park. I'm not saying that they were horror movies, but I mean, they kind of were. They kind of felt like it to me, because it's like, it's a dinosaur attacking a person. If you was in that situation, if you was really amongst dinosaurs, you know, how would that be for you? That's scary. And it didn't feel so much like that when you saw that kind of mercenary unit handling guns and everything. It's kind of like, oh, they might shoot something and maybe they'll escape, you know? It was just kind of like, I just wasn't on the edge of my seat. Whereas with the family, and they have no one to defend them, they just have themselves, and they don't have guns, they don't know how to do this, they don't know how to do it, they don't fight. It's like, ooh man, how they gonna make it out of this one? This is, ooh. You know, so I really felt like that family, if they didn't add them to the movie, it probably wouldn't be so good, but they actually held it down. And you had the old school Jurassic Park vibes. The other thing that was a complaint for me though, was the characters. Outside of the family that I mentioned, it's not the actors at all. The actors did great. They just did what they did with the material they were given. My problem was the direction and how the characters were introduced from a plot standpoint. The movie starts out hot and heavy, like it's gonna give you the plot. It throws the characters at you, the core characters that we're supposed to follow. You know, you got ScarJo, she's like the head of the mercenary unit. They don't call themselves that, but they deal with extractions. They deal with all these like spec ops, all these like off the books, never mentioned type of things. They extract people, they extract information. This is what they do. They're being used by this pharmaceutical company. They want blood off of dinosaurs to help heal people, right? And then they get a dinosaur specialist who works with dinosaurs. He runs a museum, so he knows dinosaurs. He's an expert on the dinosaurs. He's never seen one in person, but he'd studied them. So you have them two, and then you have ScarJo and her whole unit. Basically, that's what they're on the island to do. Basically extract blood from different dinosaur creatures. And then the doctor who hired them, he's using that blood to create medicine. That's the whole gist of it. And they start hot and heavy where this is what I got going on. This is what I'm willing to pay you. I want to use you and your unit. I know y'all haven't dealt with dinosaurs, but I got old boy who know dinosaurs. I know y'all can do this, y'all can do that. Y'all know how to extract, y'all good at planning. Y'all good at defending, protecting, killing, whatever. So, you know, do what y'all do. And then you think they're gonna get to it. And it's like, okay, cool, it's exciting. So I'm like, cool, I'm ready to see. They got a guy with a boat, and he's gonna go off to the island to see the dinosaurs. I'm thinking like, we're gonna see the dinosaurs. Because the way they start the movie was so hot and heavy with the plot. They threw the characters in like as background, like this is who they are, boom, there you go. There's no real introduction like past movies did. And you see the dinosaurs like an hour and a half later, but you already know who you like and who you don't like, who's a jerk, and if they get bitten by a dinosaur, so be it, who cares, right? And then who you're gonna root for, who you wanna see make it out alive, right? You don't really get that here. The crazy thing about it is when they're on the boat and they are going to the island, you're thinking like, okay, cool, we can see the dinosaurs pretty early. Usually Jurassic Park kind of stall you out. Dominion was the only movie, because it was coming off of Fallen Kingdom. It was kind of a, this is where we left off kind of movie. But all the other ones, they take time to get there. It's a lot of intro, a lot of character building. It's a lot of build up, right? This one started out crazy heavy, fast, you know, ready to go. And then out of nowhere, when they're on the boat, now they want to introduce you to the characters. They want to have discussions and backstory. And I'm to the point where I'm like, okay, well, literally that ship has sailed. I don't really care about these people because you threw them at me like they were just kind of generic B characters. And they just have a mission and boom, here's the mission. But now they wanted to stop, talk, and pivot away from that. And I was kind of like, at this point, it don't really work because we're past that point. I don't really care. You got me so invested in this plot. I just want to see the dinosaurs pop up. but then they stall you out and they try to introduce the characters like, okay, formally this time. And I'm like, for me, it just didn't really work. It was a weird direction. It was a weird decision. Like I said, and at the end of the day, I really only cared about the family. I cared if they made it out alive. I didn't so much care for the mercenary people, even like the researchers, or well, one researcher was good, the other one was bad. So one was a jerk, one was good. So it's kind of like, if one of them was to get eaten by a dinosaur, cool. If the other one was to get eaten, but even still, I wouldn't be sad, you know. But if anyone in that family, even the boyfriend, that old girl brought along who didn't seem like he was about nothing, even if he got eaten, I'd be like, oh, dang, that's sad. Because that's just an innocent family. And they brought that old school Jurassic Park feel to it. The others, they didn't do a bad job. It just wasn't a good mix. It felt like a survival creature feature more than Jurassic Park. So that's what gave it a downgrade. The dinosaurs in here, they're good. Like the dinosaur moments, they're good, but at the same time, it's just been better in previous films. Nothing in here stood out. Nothing in here was that special. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't spectacular. You know, it was good, it was serviceable, it got the job done, but the whole movie it just felt like a throwaway movie. Like it could be its own IP, honestly, just with dinosaurs in some type of way. It just felt like they just threw something out there with the Jurassic World name and IP on it and just was like, here you go. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like it's decent. I will say I do like it better than Jurassic Park 3. I liked it better than Dominion. But after that, all the other Jurassic films are better. And I saw it in 3D. Hey, if you got that extra surcharge you want to spend, cool. It's not worth it, honestly. After the first 10 minutes, it's like someone just went ahead and turned 3D mode off. Like I had to adjust my glasses, like, are these on? And they just didn't utilize 3D like you think they would, especially showing dinosaurs. And I was disappointed because this is actually the first Jurassic movie that I've seen in the movies. I usually just see them off TV. The very first one, I saw that from a Blockbuster rental around the time the second one came out. That's how old I am. So I'm like, this was the first one. So I'm like, okay, cool, seeing dinosaurs on the big screen. And it's in 3D, why not? But they didn't really, after the first 10 minutes, I feel like they just don't use the 3D. It was just a waste. You don't have to see it in 3D. If you want to, cool. If you don't mind spending the extra money. But to me, it was a waste of time, wasted opportunity. I stopped watching 3D movies after I saw Iron Man 3. And Iron Man 3 is good, but it was just, they didn't utilize the 3D. They had like the Jarvis interface. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Everything is popping up and I can see it. I feel like I'm inside the Iron Man suit. But after that, as action packed as that movie was, there was barely any 3D being used there. And so I was like, oh, I stopped watching 3D movies after that. This is my first time since then, because Iron Man 3 came out like, what was that, like 2012 or something? 13, something like that. That was over a decade ago. But I'm like, this is my first Jurassic Park movie, or world, technically. I'll check it out in 3D. It's dinosaurs, cool. Yeah, didn't really get the job done. So yeah, you can see it regularly. It wouldn't make a difference. But yeah, it's decent. Tell me what y'all feeling about the movie if you've seen it. Your favorite Jurassic Park movie. My favorite actually is, I thought it was The Lost World. I ended up rewatching the whole series. I actually like Jurassic Park 1 better than The Lost World, Jurassic Park 2. But Jurassic World is actually my favorite one. When they did the new set trilogy after the park movies, Jurassic World is still my favorite in the series. Rebirth is almost bottom of the barrel. Like I said, I find it better than Jurassic Park 3 and Dominion. Dominion, I feel like it's the worst one. It's like Dominion 3 and then Rebirth, and then everything else is above. And like I said, it was decent. It just don't really feel like Jurassic Park. There was potential in this one, but they just didn't really execute it. They had some good moments here or there. It's just that the past movies have just, outside of the other two I mentioned, the other two were just better. But man, this was my 1990. I'm out. Peace in.